Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Tim here at Higgs Garage. Today we have the F150. We have some needed maintenance slash upgrades that we're gonna need to get done to this thing. I want to bring you guys along. Our HornBlasters horn has been great, other than we had some problems with this pressure switch. It was right here, an original pressure switch. We upgraded to the waterproof one, and we're still having issues. It worked great for a while, and then it wouldn't turn on anymore. We sent the whole pump back to HornBlasters. They went ahead, rebuilt it, sent us the pump back and the pressure switch, a replacement. So we're gonna put all that back together. Our friends at Auxito hooked us up with our third brake light. The thing looks awesome. I cannot wait to get it on there. We also have, these are Dorman IWEs, or the actuators for the four-wheel drive. They're normally run off vacuum, and as you can see, these ones are plugged off. So these are the Dorman kit that actually delete the vacuum system. We're gonna see how we like them. The front wheels will always be engaged, so we will lose a little bit on our fuel mileage, most likely. I feel like it's one thing that can be eliminated for the vacuum to fail, so let's go ahead and throw those on. These are the original axles to the truck. These were extended axles that we put on with the lift kit. I don't know if you guys remember, in one of our early videos, when we did our 6-inch lift kit, we upgraded those axles to these extended ones. Well, they actually suck. I will show you guys down there. They hit the strut a little bit. They're so close, and then going over certain bumps, you can actually hear them hit the strut, and there's some marks on there, so that needs to be fixed. And actually, one of them, I don't remember which side it is, actually blew out already. They were junk. They're garbage. I don't recommend them. I don't know why they would be made so thick that they would be that close to the strut. We're going to remove them. We're going to put these original ones back in. The original ones were fine. They're just a little dirty. I don't see a problem throwing them back in there. But we're going to run them until hopefully we don't have any issues with them. But if we have a boot go bad or something, then we'll just say screw it. We'll go ahead and order some new ones from Ford and put the originals back in. These are OEM Ford ones. They're just a little dirty. So that's what we have going on in this video. I can't wait. I did notice pulling this thing in here, it has RPMs are idling a little over 700 to over 1,000 and coming up and down. I don't know why. It's chilly here, but it's not freezing. I don't know why that would do that in the cold anyways, unless there was some type of gasket that was actually shrinking because of the cold and it's sucking in air somewhere. So I don't know. Hopefully we'll get to that in this video. Main thing, we have third brake light, the actuators, the axles, and let's get our air horn back. Without further ado, let's go ahead, let's dive into this and get it on jack stands, pull these front tires off, and get to work. I wanted to take a real quick second here and let you guys know that we did surpass our 1,000 subscribers. So for any YouTube channel, that is a huge milestone. I wanted to thank every one of you so much for watching, so much for the subscriptions, so much for all the comments and sharing. All the support you guys have shown us has been awesome, and it has gotten us to our first goal. Big major milestone for any YouTube channel of 1,000 subscribers. What that means for us is now we're pushing to the next 1,000. It also means that we are officially a part of the YouTube Partner Program. Now we get to use AdSense. So what that's going to do is that's going to help fund some of the videos and some of the stuff that we have going on here. All that money we're going to put right back into our channel to try to grow it and bring awesome content to you guys. So thank you so much. If you guys are new here, please hit that subscribe button. It is free. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps the channel tremendously. It shows YouTube that you guys want to see our videos. It'll expose our channel a little more on YouTube and the videos that you guys are watching. Make sure you hit a thumbs up on the videos. That also helps a lot. Please help us grow, and we are super thankful for all you guys and all the support. If you are new, we do all kinds of automotive stuff here. We're kind of actually everything, to be honest with you. We have an old refrigerator from the 40s that we're redoing. We have some old tractors. We have the trucks and cars and all kinds of stuff, four-wheelers, mini bikes, all kinds of different things that we do. In the future, we're going to want to grow to kind of do some more crazy builds, cool stuff, and more events and stuff like that. Thank you guys so much, and we will get right back into this video. Here we go. We are back here on the F-150 a couple days later. We just pulled the wheel and tire off, got a jack underneath of it. It's kind of hard because the jack stands they're maxed out. I'm gonna go ahead and leave this front jack on here also, just as a little added protection. What we have is just the tire off. We'll disconnect all the brake and hang it up out of the way. We're gonna have to take the top of the spindle off, the tie rod, the axle nut. All this stuff is gonna have to come off. We'll have to lean this forward. We gotta get rid of the axle, and then we also need to get that actuator out of the hub here. So we have a lot of stuff to take apart, and we will be on to the next thing, which is gonna be removing that axle. I'll also show you guys real quick, take a look, and you can see right there where it rubs. We'll get a better look once we get everything removed, and you'll be able to see. Hopefully that strut's not damaged. They're not even old, and I don't want to have to replace them. That's ridiculous that is so thick right there. I mean, it's It shouldn't be like that. There should be plenty of clearance room. And it looks like that there was like a notch kind of milled out of this thing or whatever. So it should clear, but it needs to be actually pulled back further. I mean, this all needs to be turned down even more, but it doesn't matter. The boot's ripped, axle's shot, so we're gonna get rid of it. All right, let's get back into this thing. Take a look at what we got in here, guys. You guys can see right there where it was rubbing. And here. And then obviously the boot is trashed. Here's those vacuum actuators. So this is gonna get replaced. The tubes are there, but they're blocked. They're just solid, so that you can plug your hose into it and it will seal that system. So anyways, these need to come off. Axle needs to come out. Hopefully it's not too much of a pain when we get a pry bar, and we are gonna try to pop this axle out. That's gonna be the most challenging part. Then we'll get this actuator replaced and then start putting stuff back together. So it's pretty fast, pretty easy job, not too hard. Let's go ahead, try to get this axle popped out. That was pretty easy to get out, that axle. Sometimes they do get stuck. The other one, don't mind that one. That one's for the other side. Sometimes they do get stuck inside that transfer case. There's like a little C-clip on there. Let me show you. Right here. And sometimes that's what holds them in, that's what retains them, other than them being bolted into the spindle, but this helps lock them in kind of. And sometimes that will like actually kind of get like stuck up a little bit and they're super difficult to pull out. But luckily this one came right out, no big deal. We are, however, having a problem. First thing is up here, the seal it's obviously leaking. Putting this back together without replacing that seal is kind of stupid. So we're gonna go ahead and replace that seal, but that's going to kind of limit us on what we can do today. Also, I don't know what happened to this axle when I took it out or as it's been moved, but these burrs are terrible. They're borderline almost cutting my finger rubbing them on them, and there's burrs all around this, so that axle is not good. I'm not going to waste my time putting that in the truck. I have it set in here like this right now to plug up that hole so debris and stuff don't get inside the diff. What I know we need to do this right is order a new axle. If I order a new axle for this side, I'm going to go ahead and order one for the other side as well. I'm not going to keep doing this over and over again. It was such a waste of time to have to deal with those extended, thicker axles. As you can see up here, look how thin this is, and once it's not even all the way in, so once it's all the way in, there's plenty of room for that strut. That was a complete waste of money and a waste of time to get those and switch those out when we did the lift kit. So I would not recommend putting those on. That's my opinion on those. We do need to, like I said, seals I'm gonna get them for both sides. We're gonna get new axles, and we're gonna go ahead and do a front diff service on this since we've had it apart. I've done the front diff service on this already, not that long ago. Well, I mean, it's probably got 20,000 miles on it. So we're probably just gonna go ahead and do it. That is going to be it for today, unfortunately. That really sucks and postpones our timeline on this. We do have our third brake light and our HornBlasters pump that we can do, but I do want to turn the truck around. So I want to get the front end done and then turn the truck around, back it in to do it. That's why we're not jumping back to doing that. We're gonna go ahead and stop here for today. We'll get on the internet, get Motorcraft, so Ford only. I'm not doing any aftermarket stuff on here. As far as axles, again, that was a big mistake. We'll get some more Motorcraft axles and some good seals for that diff. Once those arrive, we will be back out here to replace the seal, clean that up. We might as well wipe all this stuff down while we're right here. This was all brand new parts about 20,000 miles ago, maybe a little more. They look pretty rough. I want to try to keep this truck pretty clean. All right, everybody, be a second for you guys, but I am out for today. Welcome back, everybody. We are a few days later. Actually, it's probably been a week or two. We ordered some parts. We have a new seal going into the front diff. They're actually over there. I'll grab them in a few minutes. We got both front axles brand new. So right now what we're gonna do is yank this seal out of here. If you guys can see, here's this seal that was leaking. It doesn't look as bad because I did wipe it up, but you can see all this grease and stuff like that from it leaking. We're gonna yank that out. We're gonna install the new seal that we just got, and then we will put our axles back in on this side, put everything back together over here, and then we'll move over and replace the axle on the other side and get on to all the other things that we have to put on this truck. So we got the HornBlasters, we have the four-wheel drive actuators over there, and we have the third brake light from Auxito. Let's go ahead and yank this seal out. Hopefully it comes out pretty easily, but I'm not banking on it. We're gonna start with just a typical, like a seal removal hook, and we got pry bars just in case. So what you do is yank, and you want to get behind the seal as best you can. The bad part about these is whenever you're prying, sometimes you're rocking on the other side of the seal. It's kind of hard to get it off. And it looks like there's a lot of room to work here, but there's actually not, because everything is in your way. So you could take stuff off, but I would prefer to not do that. Try a pry bar in here. So we got it out, took the both of us just to make sure it didn't fly apart, but it actually did. So here's the outer metal part, and then there's a little spring in them that's built in the backside, but all this is together as one seal. So that's what was in there. This middle part ended up coming out first. It was just how it worked out. And then the rest of this would just force, but prying it with that pry bar, got it right out. So it's kind of deformed. So what you'll do now is you'll just go in here, you'll clean everything up. You can get a razor or whatever and scrape all this old sealant. The seals come with a sealant around the edge. I don't want to put my fingers all over too much. That's what this orange stuff is, and that helps hold that into place and seal it. Any of it that gets on this outside, we'll clean all this stuff off. And like I said, with a razor blade, wipe all this stuff out, clean it really well so we get a good surface for our new one to go in. Yeah, just a razor blade, and you just slide along here. Don't gouge the metal on that diff. Just clean it all off. I'm putting a rag in there. That's up to you. Just because I'm gonna spray it with brake clean. I'm gonna drain the front diff fluid anyways and put new fluid in it. However, I'm gonna spray this pumpkin off with brake clean while I'm right here. Try to get some of that stuff off of it. And I just don't want anything getting in there. However, you do not wanna do it with like regular paper towels, or these may not even be the best, but you wanna try to keep lint from getting inside that diff. A lint-free rag would be best. This doesn't have to be perfect. I'd like to clean it up really good if I can, but you just make sure that you want to clean it so that you can check and make sure you're not getting a leak. It's just good to have a good clean repair. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put our new seal in. You obviously want the recessed part. The only way that it can fit in really is to go in there. There are seal press or whatever you want to call it that will fit over. It's on this outer flange that you're gonna want to hit, or like a brass punch or hammer will be good. Both together would be best. I don't have that, so I'm just gonna have to do mine carefully. And you wanna put it in as even as possible. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to get it kind of started so it'll stay in place. And then I'm gonna take a punch. I'm gonna try to do it this way, so I'm just gonna try to tap it. And I'm kind of just using my hand to hold it so I don't drop it. This is less than the ideal way to do it. If you have other means, use them. I don't like that I'm doing it this way, but I didn't prepare myself properly. See, I'm trying not to do this. I'm denting it up a little bit, so that's not a good thing. You don't want to start deforming the seal. So you're just gonna have to finagle with it. If you're dealing with what I'm dealing with, it's going in. You can tell by the sound of the hammer and stuff that it's bottomed out in places, so that's good. Yeah, and you can see that orange sealant kind of right here around it pushing out, so that's good. All those hammer marks I'm not real happy with, but it's what I had to do. Normally you would have a plate that would sit right around the edge there, and it would evenly just press it in when you hit it with a hammer. There'd be like a punch coming out. I don't have any that were big enough. I should have ordered one, but I didn't, and I need to get this done. That's how we did it. I don't think it'll leak. I think we'll be just fine. We're gonna go ahead now and put the new front axles in. Before we do that though, I was thinking about maybe taking the diff cover off and draining it out now. It won't really matter. Once we put the axles in and everything, we'll take this front skid plate off and just go straight from underneath. I have done this before, but it looks like there's a little bit of a leak down there. Bottom, there's no gasket for this. It's just RTV. What we'll do, we'll pop it off, clean everything up last, and then fill it with new fluid that we got from Amsoil. We'll go ahead and do that last. Let's throw this axle in here, and then we can start getting the four-wheel drive actuators done and get this side wrapped up. So we have a brand new axle. This is a Motorcraft axle that we ordered. These were from, I think, carparts.com. Rock Auto didn't have these ones in stock. That was the next place that we found them. Brand new. And the way you're gonna do it, you're just going to slide it in, and you'll feel the spline line up. It's got a clip in there, so it's kind of hard. There we go. So just jam it in there like that. Now you want to grab down here, make sure that it's in there right. Okay. All right, so she's in there tight now. This is good. You don't want to yank from back here too much, because this is where the joints are in both of these with the rubber boots. Now that that's in, our hole here in the diff is sealed, so we don't have to worry about stuff getting in there. We're gonna go ahead now, throw these actuators onto the spindles, which we'll lay this upside down here, and it's these right here. So let's go ahead and grab 8mm. So now after you just pull this off, and here's the brand new one. The cover came off. It's in pieces here. We'll go ahead, flip this over, let the rest of it come out so you guys can see. take our new one. Fits down in there just like that. Grab our bolts. And this is just a sticker saying that it's a dormant part that will be visibly different from the original part that you're removing, but this part has an updated design, fitment, and function will not be affected by this change. So that's all this little tag says there, which we knew going into it because this has the updated part where here's where the vacuum lines connect. And as you can see, they're blocked off. So the original ones have holes for the vacuum lines to function. These are blocked off. So they will be engaged all the time. I'm willing to do that. Some people aren't. Probably cost some little bit of fuel mileage, but I feel like they're gonna be less problematic in the long run. We'll see. I'm sure there's a torque spec for this. I'm just gonna tighten them. So I encourage you to find that if you're doing your own. All right, have that done. There is a grease zerk right here. I'm gonna go ahead and pump some grease in it right now before I put it on. That way I don't have to try to fit in the fitting down in there. All right, put a few pumps of grease in there. Clean this off. Just like that. We have this side installed. Let's go ahead, line this baby up and get this thing put back together. So the way we're gonna do it, kind of heavy. And this is the larger spindle for the lift kit too. So yours may look a little different. Okay, so I got that bottom ball joint started on there just to help hold this because it's kind of heavy. And then we will get that axle like that. And then if you look on this side, your axle nut will be sticking through, so you want to get your axle nut. All right, so then you'll just start that bad boy. All right, so now we have that stuff situated a little bit. Come over here. This might be a little tricky. Go ahead and hook our tie rod in. Got that started. So lastly, we need to get this bad boy down. Off camera, because it took a couple hands here, we just jacked up the bottom of this control arm. It compressed this strut a little bit, and it allowed us to get this in there. So now we'll just tighten this up. I think these are 80, don't quote me. Also could get a torque spec, but I'm just gonna get them tight. You also could add some Loctite because these are nylon nuts, or get new ones. So you just wanna make sure that they are tight though, and they don't come loose on you. So after you do this, probably drive it around a little bit and then double check, make sure they didn't work themselves loose. One, and then this tie rod is the same size. Now, we'll go ahead and release that jack and move it out of the way. We got all these tight. Next thing we're gonna wanna do, tighten up our axle nut. These don't need to be over tightened, but you do want them tight. Now that we got those bad boys done, we have a couple other little brackets that we took off. So we're gonna get those taken care of. We can also take our vacuum lines and plug those things up to the original spot. And the reason we want those plugged up is so the system is still sealed. And if you guys can get a look in there. So just right in there, they just plug right back where the original ones were. And we may have a little bit of a headache with that. So we may need to go ahead, we're gonna put the speed sensor in first, make sure it's clean. We got a little bit of trash on ours, so we'll wipe it off. I don't want to spray anything on it because I don't want it to ruin this little O-ring right there. It goes right back in the top hole right here. It's got a little Allen head bolt. That also, you don't want to over tighten. It is plastic. It's a number 5 Allen. You want it tight though, that way it does create that seal so debris doesn't go inside. Now I think before we get crazy with the bracket, because we're gonna have the caliper needing to come over here, we have our dust shield. Okay, so it'll go around like this. Those are also 8mm bolts. We got our rotor. And then for our wheels, we do have this adapter. So this is just for my truck. We got our cap for our center there. Now, we're gonna go ahead, get our caliper back on. So just like we took it off basically. Everybody, we are on to the passenger side of the truck. It's going to be the same assembly as the driver's side. However, the axle looks a little different. So once we get to the axle coming off the truck, I'll show you guys, but we're going to go ahead and disassemble this off camera. Once we get to where the axle needs to come off of the inner axle of the front pumpkin, whatever you want to call it, we'll come back on the camera, show you all what it looks like, throwing the new one on, and then moving along. There's not a seal on this side that we're going to replace, so it should be pretty straightforward and pretty quick to get this side knocked out. We also are going to do that four-wheel drive actuator on this side, of course, just like we did the other one, so we will also knock that out off camera, and then we'll be on to draining the fluid out of this front end, and then cleaning up the mating surface for the front cover and then the differential itself, putting the RTV on it and bolting that back up, filling it up, and then we will be complete with the front end. So it is some more days later now. This video has experienced a lot of interruptions. We had pulled this passenger side axle out, the side that was supposed to be easy, and when we did, it pulled the inner axle out and would not separate. We did finally get it separated and put back in, and we went ahead and replaced the seal on this side. It was very, very similar. It was actually easier to replace the seal on this side than the other one. I just tapped in, so I did not film any of that just to try to speed this up because the video is getting very long, but we got this side back together. Everything is good, everything's tightened up. And one thing I did want to note, we went ahead and tightened a lot of this stuff on this side with the vehicle kind of jacked up in the air. I want to let everybody know that you should let the truck sit on its own weight and then tighten all your ball joints and stuff like that. We did go ahead and retorque everything, and on this side we busted them loose, bounced the truck a couple times, retightened everything, and then that will get everything situated to where it needs to be, so nothing's kind of like, no ball joints or anything are kind of twisted or have pressure on them that is unnecessary that could cause them to wear prematurely. So everything's tight now, we're good to go. The next thing we need to do is get down here underneath where the pumpkin is, or the big gears are housed inside the differential. We're going to pull the cover off. There's a bunch of bolts around the outside. We'll pull all those bolts off. We'll pry the cover off. We'll drain all the oil that's in that front cover, the front differential. We'll drain everything out of there, and we will clean the surface that's on the stain on the truck, and then we'll take the cover itself, clean that surface as well, normally with a razor blade or like a light abrasive pad on an air grinder. Clean all that stuff up, spray it, wipe it down so the surface is dry and clean and free of any oil. Then we'll go ahead and put some gasket sealer around the cover, put the cover back on, bolt it down, torque it down. We'll have to check the spec because we want to make sure that we do tighten those to the correct torque spec. And if there is a sequence which kind of tightens everything evenly, and it'll help prevent leaks and get that gasket, that RTV to seal properly. We'll get all that stuff done. We'll fill the front cover, and then we will be finally done with this front axle on this truck. It has been a nightmare behind the scenes. It won't look so bad to you guys, at least I hope. Just know that you could be fighting a lot of little things. Don't get frustrated. Take your time if it happens to you, and it applies to all repairs really, but this one definitely fought me a lot, and I got frustrated very many times. I know the video might look seamless, but it wasn't. But we are here now, so let's go ahead, get down here, pull this front cover off. There's actually a skid plate that attaches to the lift kit, and I think it's 4 bolts, so we'll go ahead and remove that, and we'll go ahead and get our other cover bolts off and get an oil pan, pry that thing off, and get everything cleaned up so we can add some fluid. Right down here is where we will be working. Like I said, kind of hard to see. Here's that skid plate I was telling you about. There's a bolt there, the one on the other side, and the 2 on the back. Right here, I can't point and hold everything, but right there is the cover. That's what we're trying to get to. So we'll get all those bolts off of there. And actually, one thing you want to make sure you do, there is a fill plug on the back side. You can kind of see it right there. So we want to make sure that we can get that fill plug out before we actually pull the cover off. Sometimes, you know, if they get seized in there, they get rounded out, it becomes a problem. You don't want to drain the fluid out if you have no way to add fluid back in. Make sure that you can break that free before you get too crazy and start popping all the bolts out of the front and draining all the fluid, because it's completely useless if you can't fill it. We will go ahead, crack that free, and then we're going to remove the skid plate right here. Hard to see. And then all of those bolts, and I will check back in with you guys once we pop this cover off. Let's give you guys a little bit of an update. We have all of our bolts right there from our cover. Here is our cover. We have the skid plate off, all the bolts are out. Our drain plug is right over there. It is loose, so we are ready to go ahead and knock this thing off with our drain pan right there. And if you notice, I did put the truck on ramps. Hopefully it's not leaned too far back for the fluid, or the gear oil is going to stay back in here, but I needed a little more room to be able to get underneath here. We're going to pull the cover off and start draining and cleaning this thing up. So we got our cover here. Sorry for the air compressor. We were using the little air grinders or sanders. Here's the outside. We got the inside all cleaned up. All the gasket materials off. It's good. We have this down here. All this down here, it's cleaned up. We'll wipe it down one more time. Get the gasket sealer on there, the RTV, whatever you want to call it. And then we will go ahead, throw this bad boy on there and get it filled. So we have all those started. And I wanted to just get them all at least snug so that gasket sealer, you know, before it started setting up, it was against both surfaces, somewhat tight. Now I'm gonna go ahead, get on my phone, check the torque specs, see if I can find the torque sequence, then grab the torque wrench and get on there, make sure everything is tightened up, good to go, throw the skid plate back on and get it filled up. So we're back here on the truck. We got everything done as far as bolted back up. Now, one thing, the permit text that we use, it was the black, and I don't know why I never really read instructions on it before. I used, actually, the last time I did was the Motorcraft RTV, but the permit text, I wanted to make sure that we did it right. And it actually says let it sit for like an hour and then bolt and torque everything, and then 24 hours before you put your fluids in. We actually, I don't know, maybe we got 30 minutes before we torqued everything down by the time we got specs and all that. So not quite an hour. Hopefully we don't have any leaks because I don't want to have to do it again. Hopefully we're all right. We put a good amount on there. It has actually been 2 days since it's been on and dried out, so we are safe to go ahead and throw our fluid in. We got the Amsoil gear lube here, and we got the 80W90, and it comes in the nice bag so that you can squeeze it in there. It's genius. We're gonna go ahead and get underneath there. Won't have any camera. It's off of the ramp, so there's not a lot of room. There's not a lot of light. There's just enough room for me to get in there, fill this. We're gonna fill it until it starts dripping out of the plug. That's how we know we're full. And then we'll go ahead and put our plug back in, tighten it down, and then we will be completely done with the front end service on this with the new actuators. We got new axles, we got the axle tube seal on this side, the diff pumpkin seal on this side for the axle, and all new fluid in there. So we should be pretty much set with the 4-wheel drive system. Then we're gonna go ahead and get on the back side. We will get that, the HornBlasters pump all put back on, soldered back in, bolted back on, ensure that it works, that it's pumping, the horns are working, and then we will get that third brake light installed and we will wrap this project up. So thanks a lot for watching. If you guys have made it this far, let's go ahead, throw this gear oil in and get on these other few things to finish this video up. Amsoil. Like I said, we're throwing it in the truck. We got this from Amsoil, and we are actually an independent dealer for Amsoil. If you guys want to get hooked up with some Amsoil, throwing it in your engine, they have all kinds of different stuff, fuel additives, gear oil in the bag. You can buy drums, all kinds of quantities and sizes of your needs. But if you need an independent Amsoil dealer, I am your guy. I will leave a link in the description. Go ahead and sign up as a preferred customer and you will get special pricing and all kinds of other incentives. I believe it's up to 25% off of your order. Sometimes they do offer free shipping and all kinds of goodies. There are awesome incentives for it. Get yourself hooked up with the best oil that there is, Amsoil, gear lube, fuel additives, all that good stuff. Check out the link below and sign up. All right, thank you guys. Get back to the video. We got the front end done on the truck. Now we're heading back here to the rear and we're gonna go ahead and hook up this HornBlaster. We got the rebuilt pump, the new pressure switch. We're gonna put all that stuff on, install the compressor setup. We're gonna install all that stuff underneath the truck back on the bracket. We'll get all the wiring pulled back down. We'll solder and connect everything, ensure that it works, button it all up, and our horn should be back in service. Our onboard air should be back in service. All super vital stuff for this truck, meaning that it has no spare. It's very important to have the onboard air and a plug kit just in case we got stranded. At least we could patch ourselves up. Let's go ahead, open the box up, see what they sent us. I haven't opened this stuff up, but they went ahead and rebuilt the pump for us when we sent it out because it wasn't working right. They sent us a new pressure switch. That way, it should cover all of our bases. When we put it all together, it should fix all of our problems and we should have our stuff back. So let's go ahead, open this thing up. So here's the goodies we had in the box. We got a sticker, we got our new pressure switch, our compressor, looking good. And then we have our actual tank here. I did just go ahead and remove the old pressure switch, which was right here. Now, we're gonna go ahead and get this new one thrown on, get the compressor put back on, everything hooked back up. We'll get some thread tape or whatever you wanna call it, put it all on there, get everything sealed up, and then we'll go ahead and mount this thing back underneath the truck and figure out our wiring situation. And here we are. have our completed compressor. We got the tank, we got the pressure switch. They even attached a brand new line on the top here, and I needed no thread tape, which was awesome because everything already had thread tape pre-installed on it, the sensor, and then our new line. So that was perfect. We got everything bolted up on the compressor part. This wire, I do notice, is pretty short, and I hate to do it, but I think I might just go ahead and get another 6 inches or so and add it to here. That way I'm not trying to solder underneath the truck with just this little bit to work with. And then we'll carry this down below, put it in the bracket, and mount it with our 4 fasteners on the bottom and get everything in line. Let's go ahead, grab some wire, some soldering equipment, and get this thing soldered up so we have a little bit more to work with. Get this pump up in here. We got all of our wires all soldered and whatnot. All of them except for the one that connects to the truck here. We should be good to go as far as putting this thing on. Take these bolts and stuff off here. Hopefully we can finagle this in without too much of a hassle. And I think we are about close to testing, so solder this stuff up and move on. So there it is. We have our drain. We have the air going to the horn. We got the pressure switch. We have everything wired. Everything's bolted on. All of our grounds are connected. Let's go throw the fuse in underneath the hood and see if this bad boy fires up. Here's our switch down in the center console here. She's on. I don't know if you guys can hear that. So that's working. Let's listen for our purge valve. That's working. This switch, it would be for the horn. That one's working. Let's check the other horn. And she's working. So bam, let's go ahead and turn it off. We know it's working. We have successfully finished the air compressor, the air horn, and all that. So that's good. The last thing for this video that we're gonna do, replace that third brake light with the one that Auxito sent us. It looks super cool. I can't wait to get in there and do that. I need to replace that gasket on that one anyways. I haven't had any problems with leaking into the cab on the headliner. That is one of the problems with this generation F150. I wanted to go ahead and replace that gasket before I had problems. They sent us out the awesome new third brake light. I'm gonna go grab it. We're gonna clear this stuff out of the bed, get that light, bring it back here, and get it installed. Old brake light and the new bad boy from Auxito. This thing looks so good. It's gonna look really good on the dark paint on this truck, the Kodiak Brown. It's just 2 Phillips. Pop those things out, see what we got underneath there. Got our new gasket that it came with, and get this bad boy installed. There it is. It looks very nice. I will go hit the brakes, turn the lights on, open the door, all that good stuff, make sure everything works. You guys stay back here and watch it. Okay, make sure you're watching. We'll open this door and see if we can see it together. Oh, nice. Got the door open, we got the running lights on. How'd it look? Hopefully you guys could see. Maybe it would be better to do a little bit in the dark. Let me know what you guys think of it in the comments below. If you guys wanted to pick yourself up one or lights for your vehicle of any other sort, hit up Auxito online, just auxito.com, put on your vehicle's information. You guys can get third brake lights if you have the same truck as me. We have the blinkers, the turn signals that are awesome. Those are in a previous video, so if you guys haven't seen those, go back in my videos, check those out. And if you have any other vehicle, put your vehicle in there, see what other stuff they have. I have loved the turn signals. Those have been in there for months and I've had no issues. I really like them. They're super bright. They work great. I'm very excited to see this light in the dark. Maybe we'll throw out a short tonight after it gets dark and you guys can check that short out. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to, head on over at higgsgarage.com, grab yourself a hat. Don't forget, Amsoil, I can be your independent dealer. Sign up with the link in the description and become a preferred customer. Get all kinds of benefits. Head on over, get your guys the best oil there is, Amsoil, and the fuel additives are awesome too. Also, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. It's free. It helps the channel grow. And if you like the content, that is the best way that you can help the channel out. And we really appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you on the next one.